Hello again. Part two on Pluto's return for the United States of America. That is going to impact the globe. Again, potentially slow moving or potentially like, whoa. Because if you heard part one, then you know that this shift already started from 2008 and you were aware of certain things that already started to happen in 2008 that has led us to this place, which means the change and the potential destruction to make way for the rebuild for the new earth is going to be exponential going forward, especially with this peak with 2022 in terms of the degrees of Pluto in the United States and its return. Pluto return is about economic, political, and social upheaval. It's about chaos, it's about collapse, it's about apocalypse. And when we think of apocalypse, the modern explanation of apocalypse is like the end of days, end of the world. Could be end of the world as we know it. So it doesn't mean that, everybody's going to die and then all of a sudden nothing's happening on earth anymore. But the original term and understanding of apocalypse comes from Greece, from Greek, and it actually means to uncover, to disclose, to reveal, revelations. So when we look at apocalypse in those original terms and not the modern sense of the word, that is exactly what this energy is all about. It is absolutely apocalyptic with what is potentially, and I say potentially just to be humble in a sense of not speaking like I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm sharing what's come through, but people that have predicted things, people that, again, this is nothing new that I'm saying. You look it up, you will find all of this as well. I'm sharing what I've downloaded, that I've researched, and that I've realized, okay, there's alignment here, this was similar, and as a result, that's what I'm choosing to share. Doesn't mean that it's exactly what's going to go down. I do readings for people all the time, and sometimes things resonate, and sometimes they don't. It's just what it is. So again, I'm just sharing, and this is why I'm saying the potential, and that this could, and that you could do this to prepare, and etc. But you have to go with what aligns with you. You have to go with what resonates with you. And again, that's why I always tell people not to take my word for it. Do your homework, do your research. And for those who trust me implicitly, I love you and I'm grateful. And I would be remiss to not share what's coming through and what I am doing for myself. You are my soul tribe. I love y'all. You need to know. We have to look at what USA is being confronted with when it comes to a Pluto return, given what Pluto represents. If you saw in part one, death and rebirth, transformation, upheaval, chaos, all of the things that can come from this. And the United States has to confront its legacy on a Pluto return. It has to overview ethics and morals and practices and values, what this country was built upon, okay? We know that there are very dark roots to this country. We think about the Native Americans, we think about Africa, we think about African Americans, all of the history in regards to what was done, what was taken, is what is being confronted right now. That's the reflection, that is the mirror that is being held up to America right now, whether they like it or not. It is definitely a time to think about what was the root of their intentions. And as a result of that being the root, what kind of tree grew from that? What kind of fruit are on those branches or hanging off? What strange fruit? Ashe? Right now, it's a light being cast on this truth, on these truths. And it's like imagining turning on the light and seeing the roaches scramble. That's what's happening right now. And for the things that we know in regards to this country and its legacy and what it was built upon, imagine what we don't know. Pluto knows. Oya knows. The Creator knows. Our ancestors know. As above, so below. So regardless of what we know and what we don't know, even what they remember and what they don't remember, what they choose to remember, what they choose not to remember, it is what it is, and there's a reckoning that is coming right now as a result of that. That is what's happening right now. That is what is in the process of happening, and that is going to be ramping up as a result. It is going to be a reality shaking event. There's going to be inflation. We have to think about the devaluation of the dollar, which is already happening. The United States of America is $28.43 trillion in debt. This fiat system is what it is, coming off the gold standard is what it is. All of these things is what's going to now start to really ramp up and affect things on a more public stage, on a more grand scale of things. When we think about history and, the books that were burned, I can assure you that they read them first. So they know prophecy, they know what they've done, they know what they're hiding. And whether, again, we know or we don't know, a lot of these things are in our DNA. A lot of these things are part of our God gene. A lot of these things are part of the upgrades that our ancestors will and are starting to give us, especially with all of this celestial support that is happening, particularly right now in these next 3 months. So once we stay aligned in that righteousness, for lack of a better word, stay in alignment with that purity of soul, of self, of source, alignment with nature, aligning with our ancestors, venerating our ancestors, which is what ancestral alchemy is all about as well, to remind ourselves what it means to honor our ancestors, what it means and what do you do, in terms of altar work and connecting with them and feeding them and giving thanks for the channeling and for the downloads and for the dreams and for just keeping us in alignment. So when we think about the money and the dollar, decentralized money markets, crypto regulations, all of these things are things that could happen or that are already happening, as we can see. COVID inappropriate measures, as I'll say, and mandates. We have to look at all of that and what's already happened, what's already happening. We'll go in much deeper in regards to all of that. The resistance and the rebellion that some people are all about and some people are not. I will give a disclaimer and a warning right off the top. If anyone has a potential of being offended, overly sensitive, based on this very divisive topic in regards to the stuff, you might not want to come to Ancestral Alchemy tomorrow. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be real with you as well because I'm myself, Tony Taylor, Cleesta Cotton, have our thoughts, our feelings, our opinions that are aligned in regards to all of this happening. That again is showing very, very clearly in regards to what's happening in this country and globally in regards to this stuff, right? And what started the stuff, right? And as a result, that is going to be a huge part of what is going to be discussed. It is a huge part of what's going to be discussed because, again, we would be remiss to not share. We would be remiss to not. It's not about saving anyone, and it's not about it's too late for anyone. Let's say if you've already done something, for example, whatever you happen to be talking about. It really is about information. And I will be very, very straight up and say that it's not up for debate in that space. In that space, it's about what was channeled, what was downloaded, and that information that's given. You can take it or you can leave it, and that's totally fine. Again, you could not come at all if you already know, that's not, if I'm going to hear that, then I don't want to hear it, then you don't want to hear it, and that's okay. So I am, again, being very, very transparent about that, so you are forewarned, and it may not be the space for you, because we are going to go in. We are going to go in because, again, a lot of the signs are already starting to point to that. These are the times, too, that we have to really start paying attention to what's on the media, mass media, as well as social media, as well as underground media. When you're doing your searches on Google, try some of those searches on DuckDuckGo, for example. You're going to get some different information. So we really do have to look at, again, what's centralized and the powers that be and how they're funneling information and what they're telling, what they're not, what they're censoring, what they're not, and all of the question marks that has to create concern, that has to create some sense of, I'm not really sure about that. And for me, if I have a dilemma and I say that I'm not sure if yes or no, that automatically means no for me. Unless it's a yes, it's a no. That's where I'm at. That's where many of us in this space are at, and that's what's going to be shared and discussed with all of this information tomorrow. We have to think about the recession, as that's already what it is, food shortages, all of that stuff, polarized politics, the power grabs, the abuse of power, the abuse of authority, the war. We got to pay attention to war, spiritual and literal. We have to pay attention to Russia and Ukraine. All of these things are part of this energy. It is very much a darkest before the dawn type of energy right now that is about the eventual rebuilding, that is about the reckoning, the harvest season that is happening, the karma that is coming down, the reaping what you sow, good, bad, or ugly. It is about that tower moment, destruction. It is about Phoenix rising from the ashes. There's weather disturbances, natural and unnatural, that we have to pay attention to, that again is going to ramp up with this energy, that is going to show a lot, again, a lot of light being shed, a lot of truths coming to light through this energy, through this return with Pluto. There's going to be more pressure on institutions based on their promises, again, which is why we got to go in on this stuff, which is why we got to go in on these mandates and, these passports and all of this stuff, because when you're coerced, when there's blackmail, or when there's, incentives, when there's extortion, you got to ask questions. You have to, that's where you have to say to yourself, well, what is this really about? What is it really about? And as long as there are questions like that, you got to be, in my opinion, you have to kind of take a step back for a minute before just doing what that potential abuse of authority is saying is the thing to do, and don't worry about it, you're totally fine, trust us. You've never been able to trust us before, but trust us this time. Truths being revealed on a public stage, and this is why I'm saying to pay attention to the media, all kinds of media. It is bittersweet, but it is about a takedown for a build-up. This is about old systems dying out because they need to, and rebuilding a new earth. We do have to kind of think about what side we want to be on. And again, I always say it's not too late, in the sense of you may have made a decision already, but there's always a way to be in alignment. There's always a way to detox. There's always a way to align with magic and align with our ancestors and align with community and like-mindedness and like-heartedness and like-spiritedness and magic and magic and magic to get things back on track. I'm going to go into historical references, and I'm at 13 minutes. There's going to be part 3. This is what I'm telling you. This is some deep, this is some real shit. This is real. It's real. I'm going to do another video and try to get the rest of this out in this last 15 minutes. I'm also going to do an oracle observation on this energy and just try to align directly with Pluto and Oya and see what they have to say in store for us, and if there's any confirmation in regards to this information that I am sharing with you. So 3 for 3, part 3, coming up next, going into historical references, going into the better way of life. What is in store for us on the other side of this, darkest before the dawn. So when we are done mourning, M-O-U-R-N, how is it going to feel in the morning, M-O-R-N, when the sun comes out again, when we're under the sun? The sun will come out tomorrow. And remember that tomorrow is always today. There is never a tomorrow, right? Whenever tomorrow comes, it's today. So, part 3 coming up. And in the meantime, and in between time, lest we forget, time to get back to natural.